Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen from Gun Guy Radio. Brownells helps make this show possible. Selection, service, satisfaction. Find it all at Brownells. Please visit thisweekinguns.com/Brownells. Well, we have a lively panel this week. We have John Chaos Patton returning from the I'm With Chaos YouTube channel. Hey, John.
Jake, you didn't say it. I said I'm the Duke of Earl. Come on. Hi, it's good to be back.
Some of us try to have a serious news program here.
Dude, you brought on the wrong panel for that.
Swimmingly.
And Josh Cast, the master and of. Yeah, I'm not going to read that either.
Master and commander of Stress Factory.
CEO of Four Guys Guns.
How you doing, hey Jake? Thanks for having me.
And you're also a guy to go to if you want some cool patches. You recently produced some Gun Guy Radio patches.
We got some Gun Guy Radio patches.
Ooh, look at that.
PVC. It's in a plastic bag. It's not full chrome like that.
Those will be coming soon to the Patreons on Gun Guy Radio, so very cool. And also returning guest Ebbs from the House of Guns YouTube channel. Hey, Ebbs.
Oh, are you talking to me? Hey, Jake, thanks for having me back. I know last time you had to deal with that whole FCC thing, and I just want to apologize. And
well, now you got the lawsuit with Natalie and.
That sounds awesome, but terrible. Oh yeah, we're just ironing that out, and just good job, Jake.
So yeah, for those of you that are not privileged to the hour-long pre-show, I'm sorry. There's a lot of baggage here, so let's get into the top stories of the evening. Coming soon, an electronic AR-15 trigger. That's right, electronic, like paintball gun, electronic. You can think maybe. So this showed up at the Knob Creek machine gun shoot, and it's really something more, focused towards military uses. But it's fully like programmable. You can program, like what type of burst mode you'd want, and the cyclic rate and everything else. But the really cool thing about it is that it is not only electronic, but it has a mechanical backup in it, in case the electronics fail, in case there's an EMP, in case the machines take over the world. John, have you seen this? What do you think?
This is actually the first time I'm seeing this. It's kind of cool, I guess. They're saying that you can change all this stuff, but as far as most of us out there that are semi-auto users, it kind of doesn't have a point. I love seeing innovation and stuff like that, but I don't understand what the point is. I don't understand, like, why would you ever need to modify the cyclic rate or the bursts and things like that? I mean, that's kind of built into the gun, right?
I don't know, Ebbs. What are your thoughts?
I think two things. One, mechanical things fail, and for whatever reason, we continue to try to make, instead of making awesome mechanical things simpler to reduce failure, we make them more complex to increase the potential of that. And two, people with money will buy it. If the ATF signs off on it.
Now, it's my understanding that the ATF would not sign off on an electronic trigger. And that, I think that's why it says it's mainly for military uses here.
It upsets me, Jake, deeply. When I first started shooting, there was something so innately tactile about firing a firearm. You could feel so much of the machinery, kind of like driving a good sports car. Or anything that you can literally have that link from, soup to nuts. And when you pull a trigger and you talk about trigger jobs and you understand how a trigger works, especially on an AR, there's just there's so much engineering, and that's one of the cool things about being a gun person, if you are truly into it, is that there's that feel. And if it just becomes a electric impulse, then I would understand exactly why the ATF wouldn't do it. I mean, look at Xbox controllers. That's about as simple as it gets. You throw a 5.5 pot timer or a potentiometer on there, and boom, you have full auto. It's not hard. It's a little bit of soldering and some parts from Radio Shack for like $1.50. So, I don't know. It takes away the beauty of the machinery, in my opinion.
And it kind of opens the door for turning, precise guns into, you made the car reference. It's like turning Porsches into Toyota Camrys. I can see this leading down to such as, again, car reference, guys that are familiar with flappy paddle gearboxes, the auto manuals, and they tend to be a little laggy, not really precise as opposed to a manual gearbox. And this is, in that same vein, you've got that ultimate precision of mechanical things fitting together, like that hard reset on a really good match trigger when you feel that click into position. And I feel like you're going to start to see things like that kind of dying off, unfortunately.
And it's funny that you say that, because the moment you said precision shooting, I suddenly said, maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea, because my biggest problem with precision shooting is a lack of patience, as well as, how much downrange that trigger control can actuate. Now, if you could, say, set up a precision trigger so that it had like so take photography, not touching the camera, a 2-second delay, 10-second delay, using a remote, not touching it, you get sharper shots. So now if I could set a trigger up to be on a 2-second delay, that means I could line, get my breathing, everything I want, and just pin that trigger to the rear and hold.
So it's tracking point.
And there it is.
Touché. Except that I feel like this won't be as expensive.
That was from Timmons, by the way, because he loves the idea. But I think that we'll continue to see things that help take away the human element of error, but still require a human operator. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do, if we're going to talk about positivity out of this, I do like the fact that they have a mechanical backup, because the first thing that comes to mind is what happens when this thing gets wet. What happens when oil gets in there and causes those electronics to fail. Because we all know that, the type of military users that would be using this type of thing are the same kind of guys that when their rifle fails, they completely douche it down just so it keeps running in the heat of battle. You know what I mean?
Douche it down. I can just feel like...
Well, that's a good point. I mean, they're saying this is for military uses, but the military is very slow to change. So, I mean, is this 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road? I mean, they won't even adopt a new combat rifle. They've tried a couple times now, and they're really pretty much set on staying with what works.
And add to that the potential for extreme amounts of cost to, one, install all of this stuff, and two, train everybody on how to use it. You might as well buy a new weapon system that's been updated as opposed to a new trigger and have to train everybody, right?
And what's is this rechargeable, AA batteries? What? I mean, how does this?
It's a CR123.
I mean, does it have?
Isn't that what everything takes?
An Aimpoint Pro.
Does it have a Apple Lightning connector, or
it takes an 18-volt DeWalt battery out of the pistol.
Nice, and it looked like one of those Bushmaster bottom of precision grips.
All right, yeah, we'll have to see if it ever does hit the civilian market. It'd be interesting if it's at SHOT Show at Media Days. We'll have to keep an eye out. So let's talk about the school board, who has decided to allow seniors to pose with their favorite gun for senior portrait.
All right. Why are you giggling?
There's a couple things about this article. One that's funny and one that I really like. One is the second girl from the end. If that's a senior, we got to talk to Nebraska. And two, I like in the text it says, as long as it's done in a tasteful manner and in terms of hunting or sporting type picture, it might be okay. Where was that other part that I liked? All right, students will not be allowed to brandish or point it at the camera, which is great because to me that is a respectful and a great way to teach a lot of kids from the Call of Duty generation that you don't have to be pointing at the camera to be like Johnny Cool Guy. There's a lot of cool poses and things you could do with all types of firearms that look just as awesome without being like, I'm a stone cold killer. You could, like, these girls do it good, and it's cool to see things like, I see a lever action, 2 lever actions, bolt action, scoped, shotgun. Like there's.
Well, to be fair, I think that's a stock photo. I've seen it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, he was past that, Jake. You didn't have to go back to that.
Oh no, because now we got to revisit the fact that GED 20 years later, 4 kids, is definitely in that picture.
It's okay. I mean, she gets a senior picture too. It makes no difference to me. But how long before the kid that sues the school district because this is allowed here, and then a kid's like, I want my senior picture taken in the hallway holding a rifle.
Oh.
And, well, I mean, they said, yeah, let's allow it respectfully and stuff. My thing is, it shouldn't matter, and it also shouldn't, we're differentiating types of guns here, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which I think is a dangerous thing. They're talking about hunting or sporting type. Well, okay, so is a sporting, then does that qualify every other type of firearm? Because if you shoot a specific firearm even for fun, it should be considered sporting purposes.
You need to read. I'm ashamed of you right now. In a hunting or sporting type picture, doesn't it say type of firearm? A hunting or sporting type picture. So if you hunt with an AR-15 or AR-10, you can absolutely in the field with your real tree or duck tree or whatever you're doing.
Fine. I was needlessly bent out of shape because Jake brought it back in, and then I got wound up. It shouldn't even have been.
I know my rights.
Sorry, Jake.
I did see a photo floating around related to this article of a girl that had a rifle over her shoulder, and she had a set of antlers. And I don't know if it was, again, a stock photo or not, but I would think that would kind of fall into this, like, hey, you're into hunting and you want to show that in your senior picture because that's what that's all about, showing yourself off to your family.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool because, all these past months we've been talking about how schools have been making finger gun, or kids have been making finger guns in school and getting expelled for it and stuff. But this is kind of a positive spin on the whole school and guns type discussion.
Yeah, let's hope it bleeds out to other parts of the country.
Well, and what's crazy about the kids making finger guns in school, it's all over. It seems like they pop up in conservative states, areas, as well as more left-leaning places like New York or California. But
well, that's because most teachers tend to lean that way politically. They tend to think that all guns are horrible and everybody that owns them is a heathen and a terrorist.
Apocalypse Now. Preppers are gearing up for Ebola. So you guys ready?
Next on Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer.
Oh, Jesus, there's a guy who doesn't know much about anything except his weird maintenance.
But he has the coolest name on TV.
Yeah, until I get a TV show, then you wait.
Okay.
So,
Be like Chest Manley.
Honestly, I got to tell you, I've been kind of worried about this Ebola thing.
Earl Chesterton.
Let it go. Let it go.
Why are you worried, Chouse? More people have been dumped by Taylor Swift than have Ebola in the United States.
Listen, okay? Just listen.
Let him tell us. Let him tell us his irrational fear.
No, it's a serious problem, and I see this playing out much like the movie Outbreak, where there's a monkey in a child's backyard, and suddenly the entire United States is in quarantine, and there's horrible actors everywhere, and And honestly, this has potential to be very bad if it's not handled properly. I mean,
It's like an Obama fundraiser.
Well, I just saw an article that said it's magically now in New York City, and
Dustin Hoffman is amazing. How dare you?
True that.
That is not true.
Give it up for Tootsie.
Well, so I brought the story up for a couple of reasons. How little has to happen to create widespread panic. I mean, people are already freaking out about this, and all we need is panic to create a serious situation where people do a run on stores, a run on supplies, transportation nightmares.
Here's your answer. All you have to do is equate the panic of the likelihood that Obama was going to get elected in 2008 and how ammo shelves cleared and AR-15s disappeared. And then the same thing that happened after Sandy Hook and the Aurora theater shooting in 2012, following in early 2013. That type of panic is the same type of mirror that people think. All it takes is just that little push towards the cliff, that leaning, and it takes a couple people to yell loud enough, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be ready, and then that cascading effect starts, and Josh is going to display his anti-Ebola pills or an iPad.
In the iTunes store, one of the top 10 games right now is Pandemic, as everyone marks their own Ebola cascade.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
now my other side, my more positive side to my thought process here, that's how it could go bad, but how it could be good is that it's making more people aware that, how prepared am I? How much food do I have? How much water do I have? Because I've seen this in my own household. My wife asked me to beef up our water situation at home. She wanted to stock up on water, and for one, I told her water is a really hard thing to store long term. You probably don't want to store a ton of water long term, but we use plug here, Farms Radio Network bottled water, Mountain.
There it is.
Anyways,
Is that a real thing?
it is now. You want in?
It can be. Ground
$5 a bottle. Bro, do you even water bottle?
So we go through a few cases of water a month. So I bought like 10 cases of water. I'm like, here's our simple storage plan. We just buy extra, rotate through it. Easy, right? I don't know. That was my approach, but I got me thinking. Because my wife is totally not really in the prepper mindset, survival mindset, but like something like this in the news can cause people to maybe plan to be a little more well prepared.
Do you think it almost equates to the worry of nuclear winter back in the early days of the 1900s? You know what I mean? When that sort of, was it the 50s, 40s, and 50s when they were really worrying about that kind of stuff?
Cold War time.
Yeah.
50s all the way through the early 80s. To see how much civil defense food you can store. I was just looking in my grandpa's other barn here, and there was big 50-gallon drums of civil defense water. Like you could buy water in 50-gallon drums to store back in the Cold War period.
Right, and I mean you're spot on with, getting people into a slightly different mindset where they appreciate the fact that these luxuries that we all have may not be there every single day of our lives, and we may have to fend for ourselves. And hopefully, I think going even further into that kind of rabbit hole of thought, perhaps that will help the firearms industry continue to grow on this monstrous period of growth that we've been on. I mean, look at where we were 5-6 years ago, and each time some sort of panic happens, we as a community grow. And as terrible as it is that those bad things caused this amazing amount of growth and camaraderie, perhaps that could grow even more with things like this,
No. It just seemed like the right thing to say. I think that was very well said, John.
Thanks, Ebbs. Thank you.
After completely derailing,
So tell me again, this article is titled, Tell Me Again How New York's Tough Gun Laws Keeps guns out of the hands of dangerous people. This is about a Queens man who was already in custody for shooting 2 cops while wearing a fake beard and dark glasses. He copped a plea Wednesday for a whole new host of new weapon charges because authorities found 5 pistols and rifles at his home following the arrest, and then discovered that he had a secret weapons cache in Yonkers storage unit that he had rented. The cache included at least 15 other weapons, included a Norinco AK-type machine gun, AR-15 rifles, and handguns. Sources previously told the Post that this guy's name is Almeida, also had on-site city maps with Queens police precincts marked off, pictures of the Brooklyn Bridge, and fake New York Police Department badges. So, this guy, he was already in custody for shooting at police, and then he's still able to have all these weapons. So, I guess we need tougher gun laws.
Right. I think that's really what we're all on the same page, that gun laws are certainly going to keep criminals at bay. Put more laws in place that they're not going to follow, then they'll pay attention, right?
The funny thing is, I look at this picture and I just think of Facebook and other people going, "Yo, what stock is that? Is it not me, or is that a 1022 kit right there? Is that how the recoil spring works on that?"
I believe it's a Mac. It looks like a Mac 10.
I like that stock, though. I think, Jake, what you're trying to get at is helping people understand that laws don't stop bad guys from getting their hands on things they can do more bad things with. That laws only hurt the law-abiding.
Well said, Eric.
Yeah.
Is that where you were going, Mr. Shiny?
Absolutely. Nailed it. So, yeah, but unfortunately, cities like New York and places like California will seemingly continue to go the other direction.
And you got to wonder why people believe this garbage.
It's the false impression of safety, that things that don't do anything actually do something. If you can feel safe, then you will forfeit freedoms for security. And so I even think the extreme gun control folks, the extremists, even beyond the government of let's ban guns, create laws to do this, the people that are really for it are the ones who argue, would the world, don't you agree that the world would be a better place if there were no guns? So they have this like Fantasyland hope that or argument that this could happen, and it could never happen unless everyone loses free will, is completely brainwashed, and has no choice but before they eat their next meal to hand over all their guns to an incinerator. And it's false, and so no, I'm not going to say that. It's like also saying a gun is not a great equalizer for someone weaker than someone else, because how many bad people have killed people with their fists or their feet or their elbows, or I mean, the stupidity is saying that weapons are the only way to kill people. Come on. Well, and so that's the ones that are that most extreme say, well, we'll let laws like that be made because that's all we can get right now.
Well, you go a step even farther, and let's play into that fantasy world. Okay, all guns are off the streets. All guns are out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. Well, the fact of the matter is, people out there built those guns, and they know how to build them again.
Or they do that and they're like, you know what? This guns thing was stupid. why aren't we building grenade launchers?
Right. I mean, the
Why
fact you can't
when I can kill 6?
you can't go back in history and erase firearms knowledge out of world culture.
Well, you go all the way back, and what do? You make a weapon out of anything. You erase that, then go back. Bow and arrow, then go back. Sword, then go back. Rock, right? I mean, I'm going to pick up a boulder and drop it on somebody's head because it's easier than wearing myself out by pummeling them in the face. If you want to kill somebody, you're going to find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more in the gun Second Amendment zone and move over to Pennsylvania. John, I'm going to let you take these next 2 stories. Because I just made a terrible segue.
You know what we need? You know what you need? Hold on, don't talk yet. You know what you need is, like, for Jake, for your awesome segues, we need, like, a superimposed, like, Jake's head smiling like that with his headphones on, with a guy or like a security officer on a Segway that like rolls across the screen every time you go from one segment to the next.
Oh, so good. So good.
It's time for one of Jake's famous Segways.
Jake should do
All right,
what we
John,
call my
take
house
it away.
Omaha 42. I mean, I'm sitting here all prepped up for these things, and he just changed the order of a whole bunch of articles. I'm like, come on! I'm watching him do it.
I'm watching him. Oh my goodness. So the unfortunate thing is that I've been out of town for the last week, so I'm not up to par on what's been happening here in Philadelphia. There was something on the floor that was an issue with preemption, meaning localities and state laws differ. For instance, if a locale had a law that said like the city of York, which is about an hour and a half west of me, has a law that says you can't open carry, but it's legal in Pennsylvania. They're basically trying to eradicate that, and I believe Philadelphia is a city that has similar nonsense laws. Like you have to, within the city of Philadelphia, you can open carry, but you have to have a license to carry a firearm to do so, whereas outside of the city of Philadelphia, you do not. And they call it the quote-unquote city of the first class. So I think this is about that, and the NRA is backing this bill, and apparently our governor is signing it and saying this is a good thing. That's freaking cool. It's good to see positivity, especially here in Pennsylvania. We have pretty good laws, but everything could be better. What do you guys think?
Is he even there already?
He stepped out.
Awesome. So, I guess you rate right there. That's how you know you've made it. Jake walks out on you.
Yeah.
These guys are fine. I'm not.
So, I mean, you are from Pennsylvania. I guess, I don't know, should we just keep rolling without him?
Yeah, let's keep rolling.
So, Pennsylvania lawmaker who fired on Mugger has admirers and critics. Legislators mum on Second Amendment stance. So, apparently, a Pennsylvania state representative, Representative Marty Flynn, is my new hero, because what it boils down to is this guy, they tried jacking him. Some teenage mugger pulled a gun on him. He, in turn, pulled a gun back. Shots were exchanged, and nobody was hurt. Thank God. Moms demand attention. And there's both sides, what I'm seeing here, going back and forth, saying, good on you, and we're glad to have you in office. And then there's other people who are like, why didn't you call 911? Before I drop all of my dynamite knowledge, Ebbs, what do you think about all this being as far away from Pennsylvania as possible?
I think if you carry a gun, you should be ready to shoot someone with that gun. The end. Okay? So whether it's a lawmaker or an oil field fracker or somebody who works at Journeys in the mall, don't carry it unless you're ready to use it. This guy was ready to use it. Apparently, he's a terrible shot. Or, I mean, they don't say anything about distance. This could have been like 40 yards away, and the kid starts capping off, and he's like, "Oh yeah!" And he's got like a Smith & Wesson bodyguard with a 9-mile trigger, like trying to. He's like, "Hold on, I got a laser!" And it's impossible to push on the side of the gun. They're trying to size it up and stuff. But yeah, he was obviously prepared to use it. So, whatever. He's a Democrat too, so
It's fantastic to
put
see.
that in your pipe and smoke it. Right?
I mean, you can't really put it a better way than that.
Said the guy from Colorado. Put it in your pipe and smoke it.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
That's a pot joke. I think it's awesome to see somebody in this sort of position stand up and defend his own life with a firearm. I mean, we always talk about good guys with guns stopping bad guys, you know? And here's a prime example of someone in a quote-unquote position of power doing exactly that. And to be a Democrat on top of that, someone that, a group that is typically against everything that we stand for, standing up and defending his own life with a firearm. I mean, that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, it's pretty poetic. And also, why is this? It says this happened in Harrisburg. This kind of thing happens in Harrisburg a lot, does it not?
Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania, and I would assume he was at work, or it's not a particularly awful area.
Oh.
I mean,
Am I thinking of like Mechanicsburg? Is that near Harrisburg?
Harrisburg, I think, is where Zippo is made.
Oh, well, no.
yeah. There's a lot.
Great place.
There's a lot of industry in Pennsylvania, but yeah.
Oh gosh, there is everywhere.
Jake, do you smoke? Did you step out for a smoke? Because I had to segue, and Ebbs didn't do the.
Sorry. Well, I did before you did that, and then anyway.
And re-roll it.
Let me ask this, because I want to know about this. Were you not joking when you said Harrisburg is the capital of PA?
No, I'm not joking. That is our capital.
Oh, my mind is blown.
What'd you think it was, Hershey?
Hershey's actually not far from there.
So
The whole
before we hand it back to Jake, let me give you why I love this article. The beauty is in the writing, and I think Dave Boyer from the Washington Times really kind of, if you pick this thing apart and not like Tarantino style, you'll really see the beauty of why didn't you call 911 instead right there in the quote. It was all a blur. It all happened so fast. When you are carrying a firearm, like Eb said, your gut reaction when you have a firearm pointed at you is not to go, hold on, let me get my cellular and call the police.
My cellular.
No, it's draw, move, get off that X, return fire. I am a little disappointed that both parties failed to have any kind of shot placement capability.
I know.
Especially if it was, he knows it was pointed at his head, which means he was close enough to see where it was pointed, so hopefully not 40 meters. But, yeah, that's...
Also, something to be said for the fact that he wasn't by himself. He had a colleague with him, and so, the argument alone is if you aren't always with your family, you want to get home to your family, should the worst happen, you carry a firearm to defend yourself. But he wasn't just by himself. By the way, I said Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 before I read that it was a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380, and so that part, I just found that, and worlds collided behind my eyes and between my ears.
So it looks like the situation that happened is these two, Representative Ryan Bizarro and Mr. Flynn, Representative Flynn, yeah, Bizarro, what a name. They were going to dinner and I guess got held up at gunpoint, and one of the robbers pointed the gun at Flynn's buddy's head, and Flynn is the one that interacted. So somebody pointed a gun at his buddy's head, and then he decided to act. And I would assume that it was bang, 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 all over the place until he was out of those 6 rounds. And, yeah, like we said, it's unfortunate that he didn't connect on a bigger level. But
or that the team didn't with 2 targets.
Well.
So, GoDaddy founder Bob Parsons speaks out against gun control. This is on Magazine's Inc.com website, which is filled with ads. Thank you.
It sure is.
It's filled with ads.
NBD.
So, Parsons, he's also a member of the NRA, and he was recently commented about his stance on philanthropy because him and his wife give away millions of dollars every year, and he had mentioned that he gives to organizations, lots of charities, but that he was also part of the NRA, and I guess it's no real surprise. I think he's a former Marine, if I remember right.
Well, and are you surprised at hearing this, because Bob Parsons historically has been known to not give a flying rat's about what anybody thinks,
Duty.
and so he's the perfect guy to be able to be like, listen, it's not about guns, it's about stupid people, and we try to make it about guns. And so I love his quotes in here. It's fantastic. He's just very candid and matter of fact about it. He's not trying to apologize for what he thinks or what he believes, and I applaud him for that.
Yeah, I mean, we really need more people to be really like him and state their opinion, but no matter what side they're on, so we know where people stand. It's pretty cool.
I really, really like this this particular quote. He says, "Until we have a mechanism or a way that we can track people that have mental problems and are a real danger to society, you're going to continue to have this stuff. Whether they use guns, whether they use knives, fire, whatever they use." And I mean, we always all say that. They're gonna find a way.
Right. He lumps the tools in, which it shows that he's not just a pawn. He knows what he's talking about.
Right. He believes in the Second Amendment and rights of people and understands the use of firearms.
And I would consider moving the Firearms Radio Network over to GoDaddy if their site wasn't so terrible on the back end.
Zing.
Insult him in the middle of a compliment. You know what, Jake?
Man did programming a day in his life. He's not insulted.
You would, Jake. That's why I'm drinking Aquafina and not your water, okay?
Hey, well, that probably has fluoride in it, and this does not, so...
Probably.
That has cordite in it.
Yes. 10% cordite.
Carbohydrato total.
What was that? You want to start over?
I didn't realize they had Spanish on the back of it, so I read it as if it were English. I can read the whole thing in Spanish if you like, and then Jake can segue awkwardly.
Yeah, I'm awkward segue number 6. Supreme Court agrees to decide gun ownership case. So the U.S. Supreme Court agreed on Monday to decide whether a Florida man convicted on drug charges and forced to give up his firearms under federal law could sell the guns or transfer ownership to his wife or a friend.
What? Why is this even a question? I don't understand. He doesn't have any rights.
Well, that is the question. The question here is, does his rights end immediately, or is he able to transfer those firearms? Is there a period of time where he can legally transfer those firearms out of his possession rather than just have them confiscated?
First of all, it was weed. Second of all, he's an old Border Patrol agent. And third, I didn't have a third thing.
Right, he was a Border Patrol agent. I was convicted of selling weed, and
convicted.
Right, convicted.
Like done. Like we're
Right.
good. Like it's a wrap.
Yeah, he
As in
voluntarily gave up the guns, and now there's a question of whether he has rights to transfer them. No, unfortunately, regardless of whether we agree with the fact that marijuana laws are stupid or not, the fact is he broke the law, and when you do that, you lose your rights.
Well, I'm wondering if they're not kind of splitting this down the middle, where on one side, yes, he lost his gun rights, but on the other side, he has personal property rights, and this was his personal property. No?
Do you retain those rights when you go to jail and break the law?
Well, I mean, obviously this is a big question because it's going to the Supreme Court now.
Yo, you can't repo my car, dog. I went to jail. I don't
He
care if I
just-
can make payments. I have property rights.
Yeah.
He just lives in the wrong state.
He said, smugly looking at the sky.
From Florida, Colorado. Ugh. So
How do you both of you make the same sound at the same time? Ugh. Exactly.
Just turn on some Bob Marley, get your tie-dye shirt, Ebbs, and just tell me how awesome Colorado
First
is.
of all, I like Bob Marley.
Nobody doesn't like Bob Marley. However, when 5-inch hail is coming out of the sky, you can't be sitting there acting like you're in Jamaica.
yeah, this is. I am of the belief that he lost his rights when he went to jail, and the biggest concern here is if he transfers said firearms to his wife and comes out of jail and she still maintains possession of those, then she is in breach of the law. Because as a felon, you are not allowed to be around firearms.
Right.
No, but I thought a spouse could have them locked up as long as the felon had zero access to them, as in did not have a key, did not have an access code.
Well, that's just
You're
another.
adorable.
That's just another law that wouldn't be enforced, honestly.
You're adorable. He's from
adorable.
Illinois. He trusts people.
Well, I mean,
He has to have a FOID card to buy guns. It's okay.
No, I mean I understand you're a little bit playing devil's advocate and like, hey man, he has some rights and
well, I am. So because your spouse commits a felony, John, say you were married, your wife commits a felony, you automatically lose all your rights.
no, the wife is not losing any right here.
Well, she made a poor choice in a husband, so she needs to be punished.
But she's not losing any rights. Those guns are not hers; they're his. And unfortunately for him and his family, those are gone.
Well, that's a whole nother argument. I mean, once you're married, doesn't the stuff become ours?
That depends on the state, does it not? I know some.
It most likely does, but as I think we're demonstrating here, it must be quite the can of worms for this to get all the way to the Supreme Court at this point.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's a really weird situation.
So should we talk about ISIS being helped by the U.S. by America dropping weapons to them?
The more I read through this article, I'm like, God, this is like we're just blindfolding ourselves, tying a hand behind our back. Here, just take my gun. Take my gun, and I'm still going to whoop your ass. That's what I get out of this article right here. We're goading them at this point. I wish a mother would.
I saw something earlier where it was some like English kid in a room full of terrorist-looking people, all with AKs, and he's telling people that he's talking to the people of the U.S. and the people of England and saying he's going to raise a black flag over Buckingham Palace and we're not going to stop fighting because we have, I don't know, some incoherent gibberish that he said. Try it, brother. I these guys are, at this point, they're just like a little nuisance. You know what I mean? I don't see this unless I don't even put them on the same level as Al Qaeda. That was a huge thing for us. Al Qaeda. Now ISIS is just kind of like, who? Is that like fledgling that stepped away from Al Qaeda and now they want to be big boys?
It feels like a social media war. It doesn't feel like Al Qaeda was like kind of tangible because it hit so close to home. I think you ever seen the movie Wag the Dog?
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels kind of like that a little bit.
Do you think that it would perhaps gain a lot more traction here in the U.S. if there was such a thing like a big tragic event?
Absolutely, and what we'd do is, as Americans, we'd rally behind the cause, we'd make a national memorial, we'd send troops over, we'd demand blood, and then we justify more years of war spending, stock market goes up, and Republicans come back into office, and yada, yada, yada. I think it has the potential to go two ways if something was to happen locally. So if this in fact is like a huge, massive terrorist threat, as big or bigger than Al Qaeda, this is a great vehicle for. They don't fight like us. I mean, you come to our city, our states, and you want to wage a war, then, dude, good luck. We do this stuff for funsies. I make videos with guns, but this isn't how they fight. They're animals. Their job is to create anarchy. They will come in, they'll blow up a car bomb, they'll sacrifice children, they'll do what they do until it puts us in a perpetual state of fear with a liberal-run media that is just going to put us in lockdown. It's going to put us into martial law, and that's pretty much marching ourselves back to getting our parliament, getting a king and queen, and don't worry, everyone will take care of us. I mean, this can really go two ways. And the problem is that if it's allowed to leave there and come here on their terms, then it could pose a very large pain in the butt.
I think we had that beheading, and now I understand that is not an ISIS event, but I mean, look at what happened immediately after that. Immediately after, people were ready to go to the streets with their guns and drive down there and eradicate anybody. And what's really, really scary is look what happened. I don't know if there's an article on what happened in Canada. Yeah, we do have one of those, so I'll hold off on it. But I mean, there's a certain characteristic about these people that are doing these heinous acts all over the world. I mean, it happened in England, 2 or 3 different times there were beheadings, and all from people of a similar religion. And now, we're on some dangerous ground. I mean, look what happened after the bombing of Pearl Harbor and that. All of the internment camps and things like that. Right. I fear that will happen again, but it's a really tough spot to be in, because at that point, who's your enemy? You are, as a human being, you are almost required to know who your enemy is. And now that it could almost be anybody, that state of perpetual fear is becoming a real possibility, and hopefully that does not come true.
And this is all about an article that was a misplaced airdrop.
Yeah. Well, or was it? The second to last paragraph says, I've watched the video several times and it appears bogus to me, emailed Dakota Wood, a former U.S. Central Command logistics planner, now with the Heritage Foundation. He says the RPG rounds seem packaged properly, but the final box opened has Spanish markings. The canister opened at the end of the video is not representative of the current U.S. grenade stock. All our frag grenades are baseball-shaped. The photo of the M16s is highly questionable, as the packaging shown is what one would see at a civilian gun show instead of the packaging I'm familiar with from shipments to armories. Plus, those boxes also don't fit with the airdrop bundle shown.
That's really interesting. This box is all pineapple grenades, and we use the M67 grenades now?
Circle ones?
Yeah, they're like little baseballs. They have way more smaller fragments as opposed to the pineapple grenades.
They look cooler too, I think.
Do you think that this could be something that was sent out in an effort to undermine, kind of along the lines of what Josh was saying, is to create fear and
a social media war?
Yeah, I never even considered that.
Yeah, well, I think you're onto something.
I not to discount that point, but at the same time, do we think we don't have any pineapple grenades that we're just like, you know what? We got like a surplus from like 79.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's just ship them that. We don't need.
And
they can get big holes. We don't need big holes.
I watched farther into the video, and they do have some of the newer grenades in some of these canisters as well. So, I mean, the possibilities. I think the possibility of it being a failed airdrop is a higher possibility than anything else. I think it's just somebody screwed up, and I don't think it's a big deal, because what are they going to do?
All right,
nothing with it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Canadian shooting a little bit. This article is from the Blaze that says everything they know about the gunman identified in the Canadian shooting. It says, this guy was dressed in black, covered his face with a scarf as he shot and killed a guard at the War Memorial before storming Parliament's halls and firing off a flurry of bullets. He said he was ultimately fatally shot by a ceremonial sergeant at arms. Apparently, back to what we were talking about last, article a little bit. This guy was radicalized. Also says that he, had pretty much a checkered past of drug use before his conversion to Islam. And in Montreal, police had arrested him 5 times previously, 3 occasions for drug possession, and 2 instances not acting in accordance to his parole. So, I mean, right off the cuff, obviously this guy was not legally able to own guns.
But wait. So you're saying there's a guy out there that's not legally allowed to own guns, and he got guns?
Shocking, I know.
Oh, man.
Is that a lever action 22? I mean, come on.
It sure looks like it.
Well, it is Canada, so.
Yeah, they do have some wacky laws. Wow, this is a terrible, terrible situation. We had somebody get shot by some word I can't really say, and the sergeant at arms was somebody. He's just supposed to be standing there as a quote unquote decoration, and he's the one that had to put him down. It's kind of like, bro, train, use your gun, save yourself. It's really sad to see this, and touching back on what I was saying is, for whatever reason, I guess it's because it's part of the popular media now. They keep talking about Islamics, and all this stuff popping up is like, why is that suddenly a problem? Why are we constantly seeing people in that creed being violent and acting out in public in England, in the U.S. in some places, and now in Canada of all places, where everybody apologizes for everything. Sorry, buddy, didn't mean to rob you. Sorry, you know what I mean? And now we have what could be construed as a terrorist act in Canada. I mean, what's going on here? This is not just a United States problem.
I like it.
You like what about it?
I like the fact that the old guard took down the new BS on home turf, and it's like, this is what we were just talking about. If you want to come at us on our soil, the way you're working over there in the Middle East, you're going to learn real quick that this continent doesn't play. When someone invades your country, things like NATO and Geneva Convention don't matter. We could do what they do over there. We could string up to a bumper and parade around the streets. Hey, look how many I killed. Put them across the hood like they're fresh deer.
Oh, gross.
They do.
Don't worry, I'm gonna eat it. Okay.
Check Instagram. I mean, there's a bunch of the SWAT teams out in the Middle East that are taking these guys down. They're like playing soccer with their heads in the street. It's right there on social media.
I know. Half of them are following me.
But it's funny to me because that's where it just seems like a social media war. I don't think there's 15, 25, 50,000 people out there fighting. I think there's like 1,500 solid people who should have a career in social media that just so happen to use guns either as props or in real life. I mean, do I think there's fighting and bloodshed? Absolutely. Do I think it's 50,000 people worth? Dude, they got 3 jets. I almost guarantee you the nearest carrier is just like, oh my God, please learn how to turn it on. Please learn how to turn it on. Please learn how to turn it on.
Right. I wish somebody would say ISIS one more time.
Say it again.
They got it in there. Scramble, go. Who got the straw?
The picture of the guy where he's posing like Wild Bill with the lever action.
That's the guy.
He's got long hair, so we're overlooking a lot of the problem here. He's obviously a deadbeat and was a deadbeat. And
listen, I know where you're going with this. Don't go get any Halloween costume ideas. This is gonna end poorly.
Do you think they're on the deck?
I'm already going to go as Wolverine. So
Do you think they're on the deck of the carrier playing rock, paper, scissors to
Yes.
find out who gets to take them down?
When those things get airborne, kid, let me tell you.
I swear to God. I swear
I'm not even going to use the missiles. Don't even light them up. Don't even.
I'm
We're
going
gonna
to
shoot
head
them.
off with the wing.
They're gonna coast right underneath him and just play a little
Hey,
with the wings.
It's going to be like Hot Shots Part D.
I'm gonna land on the cockpit.
I'm going to kill you with a C-130. How about that?
That would be epic. Oh, Jake, get on your Segway, buddy.
Well, I'm working on it. So maybe they should send in Blackwater. No. Former Blackwater guards convicted in 2007 Iraq shooting. So these are 4 guys that were security contractors for Blackwater. You may have remembered the story. It was a 2007 shooting in Iraq and Baghdad that left 17 civilians dead. Now they claim that they were ambushed and civilian casualties were an unfortunate consequence of urban warfare. So 97, that's going back. I mean, it actually talks about how the prosecution delayed or didn't follow through on the case quick enough, and they were not able to charge them with murders. Instead, they were only charged with manslaughter because of the what do you call it? The
Statute of limitations.
there you go, ran out on this case as far as that's concerned.
This is pretty interesting. It's a crime that happened, well, a quote-unquote crime that happened in on non-U.S. soil, but they're being tried in America for it. And I kind of wonder why. I mean, we sent them there to do this kind of stuff, and where do you draw the line of casualty of war? Where does that come into play?
Well, I think it's a little different with contractors. We didn't, send them there as servicemen. They were hired by the U.S. U.S. government hired their parent company, and that parent company, which at the time was Blackwater, sent these guys in.
And they got paid.
Right.
But
Much better than our troops did.
I mean, my understanding is that a lot of these the Blackwater guys didn't have to follow the same rules of engagement that our troops did. So if they're not held to the same standards, why hold them to the same standards in this case? Why hold them to this? I mean, unfortunately, they were doing some bad things to bad people, and in the grand scheme of war, sometimes people lose their lives.
It's funny because it's one of those things that a lot of people overlook, like, oh, get a contracting job and get millions of dollars. What it boils down to is that Blackwater was like almost like a trendsetter for creating. Now there's like a million different contracting companies, but you could have a shell company of an owner of a company pay for X. Let's say we're not going to put boots on the ground for ISIS, but we can pay a contracting company that is a shell company of someone else to send 500 mercs over there and do damage. The downside to that is that you don't have standard rules of engagement, like you said. You don't have standard rules of war. I forget what the actual term is, but the enemy can treat you just like we would treat ISIS if they were over here. They can do whatever you want. They don't have to contact the U.S. Embassy. You don't have all the same, I would guess, say, like the get out of jail free card if you were captured. And no one's coming to get you. It's kind of a possible one-way ticket. And you can learn more about it in Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Most Powerful Mercenary Army, in a book that I'm planning on buying on Amazon. Jake, what do you have on Amazon?
Oh, we have a handy affiliate link that you can click first before you make that purchase.
Oh, dynamite!
Oh, really?
Dynamite!
That's how you segue, Donnie. That's how you segue.
Oh, so good. Yeah. Wow.
So Blackwater's gone through several name changes in the meanwhile, and they're currently calls themselves Academy.
I
Aren't they
didn't realize
owned
they
by
had changed names.
Monsanto?
Are they really?
That was like a big thing.
All I know about Blackwater, I learned from Official Hardcore on Instagram. So,
All right. Well, now you can contribute to the Firearms Radio Network when buying your book about Blackwater on Amazon through our Amazon affiliate link, which Whitey is doing right now. And also, as well as, oh, there we go. We got the actual link in the show notes. If you guys also.
Well, it's one of them. It's like the first one I found that kind of. There's a whole bunch of articles as to Montesano bought the parent company that, and now they're no longer Blackwater. There's something else.
Oh, Monsanto? Did you say Montesanto?
Montesano, whatever. Like,
he did say Montesano.
It's like a pizza place in New Hampshire.
It'd probably have better pizza than half the places in New Hampshire.
Hey,
Well, I've actually talked about Monsanto before using Merck's for their agricultural side of things, for their patents on seed and stuff, going after farmers that may not be buying their seed, but they have Monsanto genes in their soybeans.
Right. They use what I like to call, this was coined by a friend of mine named Adam Kraut. They like to use JBT, jackbooted thugs, to enforce little things like this. Like, oh, you're not gonna buy our stuff? We're gonna rough you up. It's like 1930s New York.
Right.
Is that a legit acronym?
You know who else came from Monsanto, right?
Who's that?
The Moms Demand Action.
You're saying it wrong. It's attention.
Attention. What's her name?
Moms Demand Attention.
Shannon Watts.
Shannon Watts came from Monsanto, correct?
Oh, burn that to the ground.
I wonder if she also vaccinates her children.
yeah, probably with like cattle vaccines that you can get at a farm store. I might do it myself.
Yeah, she came from Monsanto. It's still on her LinkedIn page, I think.
So Blackwater is now somebody else that's owned by Monsanto.
Yeah, Shannon Watts on LinkedIn.
If you look at my custom overlay, dun, 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 dun.
Wait.
On the spot, man.
You can do that, but you can't do my segue spot.
I'm
You
sorry.
nailed that down.
Share video.
Jake, if you teach a man to fish.
Yeah. So we're to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. So this is where we each pick one or two stories to talk about. We're running out of time as always. There's always more stories than we can cover, and you can see them all at thisweekinguns.com/090. So, John, do you have any that you're eyeballing here that you want to pick first?
I sure do. The headline is Woman Exposes Father with Carry Permit Using Yard Signs. So the gist of this is that this woman in Rochester, New York, found out that her neighbor has a carry permit, and to quote-unquote expose him to the neighborhood, she decided that she was going to post signs in her yard that say, you know, this guy's got a gun in his home. And my initial reaction is, if that happened to me, like if one of my neighbors did that, I would go put signs in my front yard with even more horrible things, just bigger neon signs, like, oh, you want to play that game?
Yeah.
Well, your daughter's a whore. There, have fun.
Oh my god.
I mean, you can't let these people act that way. You have to just slap them around. The quote is, since we don't have a way to stop him, we felt it was important to notify the neighborhood and the parents that there is an armed man in their presence. What? What? Oh, he's got a gun. It might go off and kill everybody in the room by itself.
Sigmund Freud would have a heyday with that.
Yes.
I actually saw that article, and it's funny because I've always been kind of prepared since I bring my kids to daycare, we play at the park, and you're worried about printing, you're worried about should it come popping out because you're catching your kid or you're holding them up or you're propping them or whatever it may be. And it's funny because my gut response is, so I have children that are of an age where they've been around this for at least 4 to 5 years. I play with them, I go out in public with them, I do my thing. They have yet to be injured. But should something bad happen, are you prepared to stop them because I am. And not only am I prepared, but I'm prepared to protect your children as well. So you can have your fear. I understand your fear. If you are completely uninformed, uneducated, or just don't plain like it, I understand. But know that no matter how much you like it or don't like it, my job as a parent is to protect my children. And if your kids are playing with my kids, you are also privy to that protection. Take what you want from it. You can hate me for it. Do not judge my children for it. And have a good day. And that's what it boils down to. That's my prepared response.
Well said.
Does that mean I have to go now?
Yes.
I mean,
You gonna try, or you?
Come on, Colorado.
I'm trying to understand the zombies thing that Guns.com posted. The most appetizing U.S. cities for zombies.
Is it like where all the fat people live? I don't understand.
I think, except Houston's number 24, so it has to be the opposite, because Houston's like the fattest city in the U.S. Right?
I gotta
Yeah.
look at this now.
And so
Based on higher hospital density, more congestion, and fewer hardware stores.
congestion. Okay, so
So where it'll thrive.
well, Newark is number 3. I don't even think the zombies want to go there.
That's true. It's an awful place.
Number one is Honolulu. Yeah, it's waterlocked. Where are you gonna go?
Stay away from California.
Unless they learn how to swim, which if you watch The Walking Dead on Sunday night, spoiler alert,
Hey,
they apparently can live indefinitely underwater. So,
Thanks a lot.
oh I didn't ruin it, Jake. Shut up, man. It was a great part, and they even give a little foreshadowing. Like,
Hey.
you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see it.
Spoilers.
By
By the time the podcast comes out, it'll be okay.
you can watch it on.
All right, moving on. So,
Are you kidding me?
For those of you watching at home or listening, Ebbs just got hard muted by Jake over there, and that was
By the producer, like a chump.
so good.
Oh.
Hard mute. The hard mute.
so Josh, what story do you want?
I literally, honestly, and truly love First versus Second Amendment.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. A lot of these interviews you see, especially whether it be CNN, Fox News, anything like that at all, they always like to pick and choose which amendments in this current day and age are applicable and which should just be gone away with. Now, I almost guarantee you, before I say what I'm about to say, I say, Mr. Washington, what do you think the first and utmost thing? Well, Mr. Adams, I'm going to go ahead and say that people should be allowed to say whatever it is they like. Yes, bully, very good. That's very well and good, but what if somebody doesn't like what someone's saying? Well, it's their right. Yes, but it's a right to do... we got to have something there. Let's arm the people. What do you mean arm the people? Well, somebody's going to disagree, and someone in a position of power will end up saying that this is no good, so we have to give them a way to protect themselves. Let's give them the right to bear arms. Oh, perfect. Lovely. Bully, blah, blah, blah. So, after a whole bunch of whiskey and it's like, listen, you can be upset about the Second Amendment all you want. You can use your First Amendment right to voice that opinion. But keep in mind that moment you get rid of that Second Amendment, there is nothing protecting you. There is nothing keeping you safe. There is nothing between you and people who disagree with you in a position of power from silencing you. And that's any culture, both current and past, civilized society and uncivilized society, all the way out to tribes in Africa. Somebody doesn't like what you're saying, and you have no right to defend yourself, you will be offed. Plain and simple. So first versus second, hey, voice it all day long. Say it loud, say it proud. But know that somebody has to have your back, whether you like it or not.
Well said.
What's
Well said.
funny about this is this actual article is about the same thing that I was talking about.
I know.
It's literally like the same thing. It's
You
just
see what I did there, though? I steered it.
it was good. I'm proud of you.
I
You hit it wicked hard.
Wicked hot kid. It was so
I took
good.
a hard right. I banged a Yui so quick.
Well, I'm excited because now, John, we recorded Gun Guy Radio earlier, and we came up with a new podcast called Firearm Photography.
Yeah, the Firearm Photography Podcast.
And now we also have a History Hour with Whitey to add to the lineup.
Billy.
Bully. Listen, Mr. Washington.
There's suddenly people from London in the 30s.
You guys will be glad to know that
I wasn't there.
Broncos are dismantling the Chargers in the 3rd. So.
Oh, thanks for dating our podcast even more. So.
Oh my God, Abs! Like, just this is why we can't have nice things.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's got us in the back of this really nice van, and we're having fun with headphones and microphones, and you had to go and ruin it.
so man in Japan jailed for making 3D printed guns.
Boom.
So Japanese court Monday jailed a man for 2 years for making guns with a 3D printer and what is believed to be the first in the nation with strict gun controls. He was found guilty of making 2 guns at his home, publishing a video online detailing the process. That was his mistake.
Idiot!
And you know what's funny is in 2 years when he gets out, it'll be cheaper and faster, so he's good to go. Just take a break.
Fast forward, man. Little breather.
We'll take it from here, Hoss.
Also, they don't have a Second Amendment, so.
No way.
That's true. Because they're not
Yeah,
as
they
much
still
of a-
have a violent crime problem.
And a whole lot of airsoft. Like, all the airsoft.
And too many people.
Wasn't there was it in China or Japan that massive stabbing happened? I don't know.
China.
Okay.
Johnny Stabbington.
19 kids in the school. It was so bad. Oh, poor China.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to our pick of the week segment where we pick a gun, accessory, or gadget to talk about. So, since I forgot to fill this out, Josh, what do you have?
Let me actually grab it. Well, you know what? People can't really see. So, I got what we call an unsolicited box. Unsolicited box is usually like a company that just kind of sends you stuff, say, hey, tell me what you think. And sometimes you're like, this is cool, I'll use it. Sometimes you're really enamored with it, and sometimes it just goes to a friend or a giveaway or something like that. This time it's a Devil Dog Arms upper and lower receiver. The beauty of this is that I had to ask, is it forged or is it machined? Turns out it's a complete billet upper and lower. He also sent some of his rails. And the reason why I actually like it and paying a lot of attention to it is because it's not done in a similar manner to other stuff that you see that's been machined. Usually they're very angular, they have sharp edges, they look super like, I was machined from excellence in a CAD file that takes no prisoners. This is soft, not like to the touch, but even the Picatinny rails is like, you can't saw wood with it. The features are a lot more rounded and more subtle, which, if you have all the good stuff that comes with billet and has the appearance of something that isn't billet, and it's, I don't know, it's just really interesting, and I'm really excited to see how it pans out. I got to build it, but Devil Dog Arms, they're on the radar.
Very cool. John, what do you have?
I have a new cartridge to the AR-15 game. It's called the 375 Reaper, and I'm holding it up. Yeah, it's got a dynamite name. So I'm holding it up for the folks at home. It is... what was that? That's so creepy. So, for lack of a better way of putting it, it is what 300 Blackout wants to be. It's got a heavier bullet, going faster, and carrying a lot more energy downrange. It fits in an AR-15, and it's... I shot it. The recoil impulse is fairly soft, and there's a lot of potential in this cartridge.
What's the case diameter, John?
It's the parent case is a 308, so you essentially swap out your AR-15 bolt, your 5.56 bolt, to a 308 bolt, and Whiskey 3 is working with Young Manufacturing, and they have a stronger bolt out there, and I have pictures of it. I got a review. I went down to Georgia, and I was shooting this with the guys that created this at Whiskey 3. just a couple days ago, and I mean this thing has some real potential. The new bolt, they call it an H bar design or something along those lines, and it's got thicker walls than a standard AR-15 bolt to hold up to the extra pressure, because this is not a low pressure round such as your 50 Beowulfs and stuff like that, which is a relatively low pressure round in comparison. This is a slightly higher pressure round, and I'm really, really excited to see the possibilities. The one I'm holding in my hand right now has a prototype Lehigh Defense bullet, and for those of you that have heard me speak on the show before, you know I love Lehigh Defense. This is using their new XP design that they're using in pistols that is really, really impressive, and they put it in a rifle cartridge. Now, we shot one of these, and it went through a truck wheel, and that's not light steel. It would take like if you shot a 223 at it, it would not go through it. You would need something with some significant speed. And using this bullet, it went straight through and continued on out the other side of the wheel. So rubber, thick steel. It was a soda bottle, then another thick steel plate, rubber, and then more soda bottles out the back. That's pretty impressive out of a short little cartridge slinging a 182 grain bullet downrange. Now, he also has other options that are heavier, like a 250 and a 290 grain. And as you get into bolt action options for this, that's right, you can chamber this in a bolt action. You can load it out even further into 300 and 400 grain options. So this is, from what I'm seeing, one of those cartridges that's kind of designed to do a little bit of everything, and it does it fairly well. So this is something to keep an eye out for, guys. There's going to be a lot more of this coming, and I'm excited about it. You know, I love big bore cartridges, so this is something I'm paying close attention to.
I want to see that video because I was under the impression that it's like steel wheel, and it's like, oh, bing, cool, went through it. But you just said rubber, steel, soda bottle, steel, rubber, and still exited. So that means you were shooting the bullet like at the tread, head on.
Yeah, we laid it, so it was a 5-gallon bucket. We laid it down horizontally, as if you were like standing behind something and shot straight through it. So you're shooting through the tread.
You're the dude in Tiananmen Square waiting to get run down. That's how you're looking at that tire.
That angle. It wasn't like we shot through the rim.
That's a good lesson.
Portion. Yeah, very good. That was a good comparison. But it impressed me, man. We've got some really good video. I'm gonna do some more testing for them, and hopefully we'll get some more load development going. New bullets coming out. I mean, if it's in a bolt action and it's super precise, and we've got it in an AR-15 with, the guys at Lehigh Defense backing it, this thing has some really, really big potential to set the world on fire.
And it'll fit in a PMag, for instance, like your Beowulf or your your Blackout.
I'm recommending that I told these guys that they should be hooking up with somebody to get mags made. It fits in an AR-15 magazine. I think the capacity was 15 rounds, but you do have to modify it a hair to get it to work.
Like shave the feed lips, or
you have to trim out the front a little bit, put a little trough in there, and it's not a big deal. But I think it would be better with actual mags that were designed for it. Either way, if being field expedient, yes, you can run it in an AR-15 mag.
It's not a crazy principle. I mean, Nemo had to create magazines for that 300 Win Mag to work in that platform.
So and for the purpose of people listening, if you're using a 308 as the parent cartridge, then any 308 barrel that you have, in theory, you should be able to have that reamed out to fit the 375 Reaper cartridge.
In theory, yes. Like a bolt action, that would make a lot more sense than an AR-15 because you can just swap the barrel.
Well, that's the difference. But the problem is on that is your bore is a 30 cal and not the bore doesn't match the cartridge. So
the difference is that it's significantly shorter than a 308 parent cartridge. So if you went to remount that bore, you would have to chop the barrel and shorten up that chamber.
You might as well just start with like a 375 blank.
Right.
And then do your chamber off of that. But that's immediately where I went because it sounds cool as an AR, but the possibilities of how heavy you can get and retain energy while keeping it subsonic is pretty exciting.
Right. We've got our good friend, everybody knows Adam Peeney. I hooked him up, and he's going to be testing some of this stuff in the Bolt Action platform. So there's a lot of potential here. We're going to be trying it out, and I'm excited about it.
Cool.
So, Abs, what do you have?
Well, I feel like mine's stupid now compared to John's.
It's a frisbee golf set.
But I thought this was cool. eForms, the ATF brought eForms back a few months ago, and I put in a couple stamps for a couple SBR Form 1s, which means do it yourself. And I got them back Tuesday, and that was 35 days.
Which is unheard of
From
turnaround time.
Yeah, a couple guys I saw accounts with trust that got them back in 18 days, and so that made my wait a little more strenuous. But compared to people who had to wait for a year, and even when eForms went down and had already submitted their Form 4s, they had to wait as long as paper forms and stuff to get it back. That's a major bummer. But I got my paper Form 4s back for a couple suppressors that I put in for the last week of May. That took 4 months and a week on a trust, and that's paper. So 4 months for paper submitted form. They're hauling tail over there in Atlanta, but the eForms for SBRs. I mean, it's hard to be like, it did not just be like, oh yeah, give me some stamps, because it's getting to the point where maybe we'll be able to get to the point where it's almost just like you submit it, and then an hour later or a few minutes later, stuff's coming back like it should be. It still needs to be. The NFA needs to be abolished, but while we have it, and we're paying $200 for a SBR suppressor stamp, as opposed to comparison to what the cost of $200 was back in 1934 when the NFA was enacted, and it was still $200. It's $200 in 1934 compared to $200 in 2014 is a big difference. So anyway, pretty cool. eForms, that was my first time using eForms, paper only before that. So if you're in the mood for an SBR or a short barrel shotgun or AOW or something like that, maybe go to atfonline.org and have a look at eForms.
That's awesome, man. 35 days is unreal. I waited 11 months for my stamps.
And now I've got stamp fever. It's not good.
All the SBRs.
All the SBRs.
ATFonline.org goes nowhere.
.gov, sorry. ATFonline.gov.
All right. Well, for my pick of the week, I have a 4-pack of Sawyer mini water filtration systems. We're talking about preparing for Ebola or whatever other natural disaster you may come across. But these Sawyer filters are pretty cool, and the 4-pack of the mini version, which can filter up to 100,000 gallons, and filters out 99.9999% of all bacteria and other bad things. So really good filter and easy to use. And with this 4-pack, you could, these are tiny. You could throw them in your glove box. You could have them with you wherever you go. So just another good idea to be.
Is this kind of like a life straw idea type deal?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they come with 4 of them, and they come with 4 pouches, or water. I don't know, what do you call them? They're water pouches.
Bladder.
No, just stop saying the word pouch, man.
Pouch.
Is it a pouch? Is it a pouch?
It's totally a pouch. It might as well be a Capri Sun.
But it can go in a water bottle too. So water bottle, Capri Sun, pouch. Your pick.
Sack of water. We're going there.
Satchel.
The satchel of water.
Life-saving satchel.
I think this type of item, these are awesome. You pop one in your pack and roll out to wherever you want to go, and if the water's nasty, you can have a little sip and still be hydrated.
With your Sawyer Products mini water filtration system.
Now in 4 colors, including black, blue, green, yellow, and pink.
Bought on Amazon through the affiliate link.
Through the affiliate link.
Absolutely.
Come on, Jake, get on our level, man.
I'm trying.
That.
I'm trying. So let's talk about Patreon. Patreon's an easy way to crowdfund programs like these, to bring back some maybe better guests next time, and also keep these shows coming. So all I ask is you consider maybe giving $1 per episode. Helps keep the shows going. You probably spend more on coffee every week than $1 per podcast. So patreon.com/week, $1 per episode, or there is also other levels such as $7 or $15 levels where the $15 level is a battle box full of swag that we send out every 3 months. Some of this stuff behind me. Is this the last? Do we have another episode in October?
For the battle box.
I hope it's the last.
The 30th. Yeah.
I got one on the 30th.
One more week until I give away 2 of the MTM case card zombie ammo cans. Those we give away to anyone that's a Patreon, no matter what level you're pledging at. But the $15 level gets Duke Cannon supply, big ass bars of soap in the ammo cans behind me, and also all kinds of other swag like some of the hats I got behind me. I've got tons of shirts. I've got GunGoddess.com $25 gift cards, and also Duluth Trading Company $50 gift cards.
That's awesome.
So
Get that fire hose pant.
Yeah, pants. Jake, can you explain why the gift box has a flat blade Stanley screwdriver in it?
I have no idea. They all have
What's
a
the
screwdriver in
significance
them.
of that? Is that like, so if this is like the zombie, this isn't even the zombie pack, because you could totally put that in a zombie's eye, I guess. if
Yeah,
Walking
absolutely.
Dead has taught us anything. But my favorite thing about the
Duke Cannon Supply Company, big ass brick of soap.
is the tagline where it says "smells like victory."
Oh, they
Smells
all,
like victory.
each one of the bars has a different tagline. It's glorious. It's a funny company.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Like the one that's get you clean, not laid.
So it's like a slant on Axe products, or
Yeah, good
is that
job,
the-
Adam. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of along those lines, except for it's not for people in middle school.
They had Jake, they have Duke Cannon 2-in-1 hair wash tea tree thickening formula.
Can I use that on my beard?
Yes.
So Patreon.
If you're still listening, yeah, $1 per episode for more great content like this. So, Patreon.com/week. And John, why don't you go ahead and plug yours too?
So you can go to patreon.com/I'mWithChaos, and you can support what I do. You can learn a little bit more about me on that page, and I highly recommend you come over and check out some of the best produced gun videos on all of YouTube. Just, I put a lot of effort into it. I put a lot of effort into remaining unbiased in my passion for firearms and sharing products with people. So it's definitely worth checking out. And if you want to support it, go ahead and do that at patreon.com/I'mWithChaos. You get all kinds of swag, just like Jake. It's just tailored for my fans out there, and I would really appreciate it if you did that, guys.
All right, well, that about wraps it up. Ebbs, what do you got going on over at the House of Guns?
Did you guys see the solar eclipse today?
I did not.
It was pretty awesome.
It was torrential thunderstorms at my house all day.
Oh, that's terrible. I got to see it through an electronic magnified telescope with a filter on it, so I got to see the sunspots and then like the heat signature. It was crazy.
Why don't you tell me more about how your day was better than mine?
And then we had some glasses that looked like 3D glasses, so you could look at it with the nude eye and be able to see it. It was really good. HouseOfGuns.com is where we're located. House is spelled H-A-U-S, German House, HouseOfGuns.com.
House of Guns.
We can be found everywhere online as House of Guns, including the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters, and the YouTubes. YouTube channel went over 4 million a couple weeks ago, total views. That was pretty cool. I haven't posted a video in about a month because I'm lazy. And I'm sitting on, like, I don't know, 15 review videos that need to be edited, and I just need to start eating the elephant. So, but check us out. I got a couple guys that contribute with me, and we do fun stuff and like all different kinds of guns, hunting, self-defense, really dynamically tactical stuff, and I've got some NFA stuff coming up too, the SBRs and suppressors, and man, this stuff's addictive. It's so cool, and great element of fun to go along with that too. So houseofguns.com and everywhere else. Jake, thanks for having me on and putting up with me. Appreciate your help in the testimony with that case Natalie has against me. And one more thing.
What's that say?
Bring back our grenade.
Oh, please put a hashtag on.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Hashtag it and post it on Instagram.
Bring back our grenades.
Right now.
I'll redo it. I'll rewrite it with an actual Sharpie. This was a dry erase.
Oh.
That's all I had close. But yeah, we'll get it right.
It's always a pleasure having you on, Abs. Josh, Four Guys Guns, you got something big launching? Is it launched?
We do. Well, not. I hope it's. Let's just stop. It's not going to launch tomorrow because I'm on Firearms Radio Network instead of doing the graphics I'm supposed to be doing for the notorious LOU, who's our glorious webmaster. This weekend, if not, Monday, we'll be launching FGG members. We've worked for a long time on it, and I'm on the same kind of review schedule as Evs right now, where it's like once every 30 days because we've been working double time editing video on top of video that people can't see. But you will finally get a chance to join FGG members. It will be $7.99 a month, or you can sign up for 1 year, get 2 months free, $79.99, and you also get a really sweet FGG members T-shirt and key fob made by Savoir Leather. And we have new content dropping every month that are stepping stones towards training, so we can actually not just provide cool reviews and things like that. We have a store we could buy stuff, but we have FGG members that will have actual instructors teaching some basics, as well as a map that is currently still in production because there's a lot of trainers that we have to kind of sort through throughout the country. So a resource for training, a resource to get training, and we have special discounts through industry partners, so you can not only get the training, get started on training, but you can get a good deal on good gear instead of learning the hard way what not spending the right amount of money on gear does to you negatively when you're on a training line. So kind of a big deal. Just US Optics alone, the discount on that is worth the price of admission and then some. So
yeah,
really cool stuff coming down the pipe, and it should be within the next week.
Sounds really exclusive.
I don't know if you know this, but my hair, Mr. Exclusive Hair, orders Chardonnay on its own. So take that, Ed.
Extra bubbles.
And I don't look like a seedy hippie from Colorado.
You haven't seen me looking like a hippie yet. I haven't even put on the American flag.
All right,
band.
well, that's about
that
wraps it up.
schmuck
You
off
can
the
leave
head.
your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video, on the bottom of the show notes, thisweekinguns.com/090. Also, please subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode, or leave us an iTunes review. And don't forget to contribute by shopping Amazon or Brownells. Just look for those affiliate banners on our website, thisweekinguns.com. And also, don't forget Patreon, patreon.com/week. And also check out all the other awesome shows on the Firearms Radio Network. Well, thank you, John. Thank you, Abs. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for having us, Jake.
Thank you, Jacob.
Next week.